Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Blessed be the name of the Most High. I pray that everyone is doing great. So I'm going to share this dream that I had about Bow Wow about 5 or 6 years ago. And I've been holding on to the dream. I didn't think I would ever be sharing it, but we know with the Most High, He has an appointed time for everything to be revealed. So in the dream, I was working at my old job. Back in the day, I used to work at Kmart. So I was getting off from work. It was nighttime, and I was waiting for my ride to come pick me up, and my ride never showed up, and I couldn't get in contact with my ride. So I made the ultimate decision to walk home. So as I'm walking, I noticed that there were a group of men that were walking ahead of me. So I was just like, if I just stay behind them and keep my distance, then I won't feel like I'm by myself. So I'm walking along the way, and one of the guys kept looking back at me. And eventually, he walked up to me and he asked me if I was okay. So I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm fine, thank you. And he was like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And he's like, well, would you like for me to walk you home? And I told him, no, thank you. So he just told me, be careful out here. He's looking at me kind of crazy, like, what are you doing out here by yourself at nighttime? But anyway, he walks back up to his friends, and I'm still, just tagging along, but from a distance. And I didn't feel like I was in any kind of danger around them, so that's a good thing. And I didn't really know where they were going at that time, so I remember as they were getting closer to their destination, one of the guys was like, hey man, like we can't wait to get to Bow Wow's party. It's going to be lit. It's going to be a lot of girls there, and we're going to have a good time. So I'm like, Bow Wow? Like, what is Bow Wow doing here? So I didn't really take them serious. I thought maybe they were just showing off. Sometimes guys like to show off, especially if there's a female around or whatever. So I was just like, oh, okay, well, and they're going to this so-called Bow Wow party, whatever. But anyways, so as we get closer to the apartment, so long story short, I end up going to the party with them. And it was only because my phone had went dead, and I still had some ways to walk to get home. So I was just like, I'm out here walking by myself, and I don't have a phone where I can call just in case there's an emergency. So, the guys were just like, well, our phone is dead too. I think it was only one guy who had maybe one bar left on his phone. So they was like, well, why don't you just come to the party with us, and you can charge your phone there, and then, you can call whoever you need to call to come get you, or just to let them know that, you're okay or whatever. So I was just like, okay, fine. And like I said, I didn't feel like I was in any kind of danger around them. So we get to the apartments where the party was going, and the party was like on the second floor. So we walking up the stairs or whatever, and once we get to the apartment, the music was very loud. So, they're banging on the door and nobody's coming to the door. So one of the guys was like, okay, somebody need to call Bow. So the guy with the one bar was like, I'll call and see if I can get in touch with him. So he calls and no answer. So he's just like, well, I don't know how we gonna get in there because the music is loud. They're not coming to the door, and nobody's picking up the phone. So they still banging on the door, and then we hear some men talking, but their voice was very muffled because the music was very loud, so you couldn't really hear what they were talking about. But then we heard this one particular woman, and her voice was very loud and clear. And so at first it sounded like she was having a good time, but then all of a sudden it was like a fear in her voice. And she was like, no, don't do that. Like, don't, please, like, stop. Don't put that there. And she was like, please, don't hurt me. And then I hear Bow Wow say, hey, man, turn the music up. So the music is louder. And at this time, I'm like, okay, something is not right. And so we're looking at each other and we're like, yeah, something is not right about this whole situation. And that's when I was able to put two and two together, that she was the only female there by herself with all these men. And I knew what was about to happen. So I'm pushing through the guys. I'm just like banging on the door, trying to kick it down. And anybody that knows me personally, I am a protector at heart. So I don't care if I don't even know you. If you're in danger, I'm going to do what I can to help you. So I'm trying to get in there, whatever. I'm kicking, banging on the door. And the guys that were with me, they didn't want no part of it. One of the guys was just like, yeah, we didn't come here for this. I don't know what kind of stuff I was on, but this is not what we didn't come here for this. Like, this is not cool. So they end up leaving. And I'm looking at them. I'm just like, you're not going to help me get in there and get this girl out of here? They really didn't want no part of it. And I guess I can understand because a situation like that, if the police come and they're at the party and, this lady that's in the party has been assaulted, then they could possibly get in trouble too, even if they didn't do anything. So I can understand why. But at the same time, just like, could have tried to help or something, but it is what it is. So I was determined to get in there. I'm like, I'm gonna call the police, like, open the door, but to no avail. Nobody came to the door, and the music just kept getting louder. And I could hear Bow Wow saying something, but I couldn't really make out what he was saying. And then I woke up. I woke up and I was still mad. I'm like, I'm ready to fight Bow now. Like, what's going on with that? So I'm like, y'all, like, what is this all about? But I never heard of Bow Wow as a woman or women in general. Now I know he's been in some domestic dispute with women, and that's about it. But as far as something like that, I've never heard anything of such, him being part of something like that. So Bow Wow, he came into the industry very young, and y'all just told me to analyze the dream. So, I'm just analyzing the situation, and then that's when I realized, like, wait a minute, this female being in this party, and she is the only female there, and she not able to defend herself against all these men. So Bow Wow, being young when he came into the industry, and he's surrounded by a bunch of grown people, and things happened to him, and him being a child, he wasn't able to fight off, his offenders. He wasn't able to protect himself. There was no one there to protect him. So stuff happened to him, and later on in life, it kind of played out because you see him go down this rabbit hole where his life started to spiral out of control. He was acting out, and his relationship with women were not healthy, and he was just kind of losing his mind at one point. And it's like, what's going on with Bao? So you have to realize, like, when a lot of these young stars come into the industry very young, stuff happens to them. Their innocence is taken away from them, and you can tell, like, you can see their innocence starting to diminish, and you wondering, like, what's going on? Like, why? They went from being this happy, bubbly child to being very quiet, very kind of just dismissive when it comes to a lot of things, and just not really fully there. It's like, I mean, you can just tell, like, something is wrong. And when I saw Bao when he first came out, I thought he was a little girl. I was like, oh, this cute little girl, whatever. But when I found out he was a boy, I was like, oh, okay, this is a boy or whatever. But I could tell, like, things started to kind of like change with him. Like, in some pictures and even in some of the interviews, he wasn't really smiling. He just seemed to be very serious, or kind of he's present but not really present, if that makes sense. And so I was just like, what's going on with him? Because it just seems something's just really not right. But, you know, I was still learning the industry, what goes on in the industry. So I didn't really know at that time. So we know that Jermaine Dupri, Snoop Dogg, and Diddy mentored Bow Wow when he was very young. And I think at some point Bow Wow even lived with Jermaine Dupri for quite some time. I Don't know how long, but I know he had been with him for a while. And Bow Wow mentioned that Jermaine was like a father figure in his life. So he spent a lot of time around Jermaine Dupri and Snoop. I don't know how long he been around Diddy, but I know he was mentored by him as well. And so I remember there was a video I came across where Jermaine Dupri was talking about a situation where he had took Bow Wow to a nightclub at 11 years old, and he was saying that he was like, yeah, he didn't have no business being there, but we took him to the club or whatever, and Bow Wow was pretty much hesitant about going into the club. He didn't want to go in there, and they were kind of laughing and joking about it. And he was like, well, you're going to sit in the car and wait? And Bow was like, yeah, I'd rather wait in the car than to go into the club, which I don't blame him, because at 11 years old, well, why do I need to be in a club around grown people where there's going to be a lot of inappropriate adult activity going on in there? So yeah, so a child at his age, his mind can't really comprehend what's going on. So that's why a child needs to stay in a child's place. You hear that growing up, the parent be like, no, you need to stay in the child's place and let adults, do what adults do. And I don't know why Jermaine Dupri thought that was a great idea to bring him to the club, but he did. And so they left Bow Wow in the car all night until they came out. And I know he said something about when they came out the club. I'm kind of just paraphrasing what he said in the interview. And well, it wasn't really an interview. He was just basically talking about, his, I guess, him mentoring Bow Wow, and just basically just sharing some stuff about how Bow Wow came up in the industry. So he was like, yeah, when we came out the club, there was some female dancers that was at the car that Bow Wow was in. I can't remember if he said they were dancing in front of the car or if they were dancing on Bow Wow, but it was something like that. And he was like, yeah, I think that kind of did him in. He seemed like he was a bit traumatized by that night, and he was pretty much just over it. And I'm like, well, I don't blame him. Like I said, it's a kid, so his mind is not comprehending what is going on. Is uncomfortable for him because he's being, he just have these grown women, probably wasn't fully dressed, and they're doing dances that's inappropriate for an 11-year-old boy. So, he was just laughing about the whole idea, and I thought it was just really crazy. So I'm just like, what was going on in his mom mind to allow this boy to go live with a grown man and have that kind of ownership around your child? There's no way I will allow anybody to have that kind of access to my children. It's just crazy to me. I don't care how much money you put up front. My child is not for sale, first of all, and then secondly, I need to know what's going on at all times when he's in the presence of grown people. Like if he's going to the studio, then I'm going to the studio too. Y'all going on tour, cool. Make room for me because I'm gonna be on the tour bus as well. Matter of fact, he's not even going to be on your tour bus. He's going to have his own tour bus, and family is going to be on the tour bus, because you hear about the stuff that goes on those tour buses. So yeah, I know a lot of times when parents allow their children to go into the industry, they're thinking financially. Like they're probably struggling financially and they need the money. So it's like, well, my child dream can come true. They can live out their dreams and I can benefit from it. And so they hand the child off to whoever, and they sign a contract, and not realizing that you're signing over your child over to these people, so you're allowing them to have ownership over your child, and you don't really get to have a lot of say so in what goes on when you know, as far as what goes on in their life. You don't have a say so because you signed over your child, so your child belongs to them now. And it's really sad. And then you have parents that don't care. They just pimp their children out to the industry, and it's like, yeah, take them, do whatever you want. Just make sure you're paying me. You know what I mean? So it's kind of twisted all the way around. And then you have some parents that really don't have any full knowledge of what goes on behind the scene in the industry. So, they're not really thinking about it. But still, it's like, I don't care how famous a person is, you're not going to have that kind of access to my child. There's no way. I'm not going to allow my child to live with you. And then I need to examine your lifestyle. I need to see what kind of company you keep, because my child does not need to be in an environment that's going to corrupt their innocence. Like, that's just crazy. I'm not with it, but you know, for some reason, some of these parents don't really be thinking. And then, like I said, you got some that just don't care. And there was a video I saw about Wow talking about Diddy, and he was talking about how Diddy taught him everything he needed to know about the game. He was like, Diddy taught him how to have a good party, and we know what kind of parties Diddy have. And I think there was like a reality show that Bow Wow did, and there was a scene where he had a party, he threw a party, and there was a bunch of females there, and they were half naked. They were doing dance. They were doing a lot of stuff that was inappropriate. So you think about it, and then I'm seeing this video of Bow Wow talking about how Diddy taught him how to throw a good party. And I'm looking at this clip from his reality show that he had, and I see how these women are dancing all over him and, then doing inappropriate things. And I'm just like, okay, now it makes sense. And so he was bragging about it. And then I'm trying to remember everything that I read online, in videos that I came across. I do know that allegedly, I'm pretty sure a lot of people heard about this, that he was assaulted by a security guard when he was a minor. And then there's another allegation that allegedly a grown woman SA'd him when he was about 15 or 16 years old. And then there's an allegation about uh, him just being passed around the industry, and they said that Diddy also SA'd him when he was a minor. So there's a lot of stories about, a lot of allegations about what happened to him. And I think Bow Wow responded to the whole allegation about the security guard SAing him, and he pretty much denied it and said it didn't happen. But I was looking at his body language, and it tells a whole different story. And you can tell something happened, but he wasn't comfortable talking about it. And, I believe that he feel probably embarrassed about it. He don't want people looking at him in that way, thinking like, oh, this happened to you. And so I think for him, it's probably just easy to deny it and say it never happened, so that he doesn't have to really relive that whole reality of what happened. And I understand, but I just pray that he get the healing that he needs, and that he gets help. You know what I mean? Because his life started to spiral out of control, and he was all over the internet, and they were like, yeah, Bow Wow got himself into trouble and a lot. So I pray that he gets the help that he needs. I pray that he receives salvation, that he will come to repentance, and that he will have a relationship with the Most High, and realize that real joy and peace doesn't come from material things. It doesn't come from the lifestyle he's living right now. It really comes from the Most High. The Most High is our main source that we draw everything from. and he has to be willing to let go of this image of being Bow Wow and being this, this celebrity that people love and have grown um, to in a way, worship, because a lot of people idolize these celebrities, and he's an idol in many people's lives, believe it or not. So, he has to be willing to let go of all of this stuff and allow the Most High to heal him and deliver him and be set free from the bondage that he's in. Like, he has to recognize that Christ defeated Satan at the cross at Calvary, and he doesn't have to be a slave to sin. It doesn't have dominion over him unless he allow it to. And so it starts with him. He has to be willing to break the generational curses over his life so that it doesn't follow his children and his children's children and generations to come. If there be another generation, because we don't know how long we'll be here. Even the Son of Man don't even know when he's coming back. Only the Most High knows the time, the day. He knows all of those details. And so now, right now, while we have a chance to make a difference, work on it. Start now. Think about how your lifestyle can affect your children, because a lot of us are struggling with things that our ancestors did, and we are like repeating a lot of the things that went on from generation to generation. And so we have to make the decision to bring it to a stop. Like, get to the root of it, dig it up from the root so that it doesn't grow back. And then now we have a healthy foundation laid out where it can bring forth healthy fruits. So, yeah, I just pray for his mental health. Pray that, he is able to break free from the hold that the enemy has over his mind. And yeah, I just hope that things start to look up for him in his life, and that he pursues the Most High and he live out his purpose, his true calling, whatever that calling is. I pray that he is able to walk in it and live it out and be a change for the better for this world and even for his children. So, yeah, that is pretty much it, guys. This is the video that I've been struggling to get recorded for quite some time now. And I'm going to do the video. I'm going to have to redo the video that I did about X. And so, yeah, that I'm still a little bit just upset about the whole thing. But, the only thing I can do is just redo the video and hope that I don't run into that same problem again. So, yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. May the Most High bless you all.